Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. Real quick, I just wanted to address all the feedback I got on my last two videos, specifically regarding my voice. To put it kind of bluntly, people didn't like it. I have a low voice naturally, especially when I'm speaking really softly. So, true to the channel's name, I do record these pretty late at night, and in my old living situation, I kind of had to keep it down. Fortunately, I've moved and I can speak up a bit. I got a new recording space and I've added a low shelf to my EQ to just for good measure. I'm also pretty new to reading scripts, so I'll try to keep getting better at that. But anyways, thanks again for watching, and let's get into the video. On February 1st, 1984, explorer Naomi Uemura began his latest attempt at making history, a winter solo ascent of the tallest North American peak known as Denali or Mount McKinley, which is located in unforgiving Alaska. On the morning of February 13th, he briefly made radio contact with a local bush pilot and his photographer, informing them that he had reached the summit the previous evening, which also happened to be his 42nd birthday at around 7 p.m. However, the cloud cover was thick and they could not see him. He was never seen or heard from again. His body never recovered. Uemura was no stranger to facing danger alone. He had become a celebrity in his native Japan for his previous, seemingly impossible endeavors. His previous treks included a ridiculous 7,500-mile, 3-year dog sled trek from Greenland to Alaska, a 3,700-mile solo raft trip down the entire length of the Amazon River, and he was also the first person to reach the North Pole alone, accompanied only by his sled dogs. Uemura was no stranger to Denali either, as he had completed the first solo ascent of the mountain years before this fateful winter climb. Uemura was an experienced climber and survivalist and packed light for the trip, a 40-pound pack, a hauling sled, and two 10-foot bamboo poles that he carried with him to prevent crevasse falls on the glacier, one of the biggest threats to solo mountaineers. He decided to forgo bringing a tent, instead opting to sleep in snow caves that he built along the way. He also chose to save fuel by consuming a diet of seal oil, whale blubber, and raw caribou, so he'd only need to use a stove to melt snow for drinking water. He also brought a small diary with him as entertainment and also as a log of his journey up the mountain. During his radio call with the pilot, Uemura said that he had descended to around 18,000 feet and that he planned to arrive back at base camp by February 15th. When the pilot reported this when he had landed, the news spread quickly of Uemura's accomplishment, as he was a very well-respected mountaineer and explorer, and people were celebrating even before he had made it back safely. On the 15th, park rangers and the media excitedly waited for him at base camp. However, the excitement turned into concern when he failed to show up at the scheduled time. Two bush pilots searched for him along his route up the west buttress. However, they found no sign of him, other than his bamboo poles, which were left at around 9,500 feet above the most dangerous and fissured part of the glacier. They were presumably left there on the ascent to reduce weight and improve mobility, as the risk of a crevasse fall above that elevation was minimal. The skies were clear that day and there was a slight wind, with temperatures on Denali estimated to be not unusual for the wintertime -50 degrees Fahrenheit. Still, people figured he was probably tired from the ascent and had decided to wait out the wind and get a little extra rest in a snow cave, which would also explain why he wasn't visible from the plains. On February 16th, a solo bush pilot claimed to have seen Uemura at around 16,000 feet, waving to him from a nearby ice cave. He returned to town and reported this, and the public sighed with relief. The following day, February 17th, thick cloud cover moved in and obscured the search pilot's views of the mountain for the next 3 days. It was now February 20th, and park officials were growing concerned about his food and fuel supplies, but were previously hesitant to call a full-blown search and rescue operation, as Uemura was an experienced climber and survivor, and they didn't want to insult him or diminish his accomplishment by prematurely calling one in. However, the weather was sunny and clear that day, and after seeing no sign of him from the air, rangers were sent to search around the 16,000-foot area where he had supposedly been spotted by the pilot on the 16th. However, they found no trace of Uemura, no dirty snow, supplies, or any other indication of him, and nearby supply caches left by other climbers had been left untouched. That same day, two volunteer climbers, Jim Wickwire of Oregon and Iho Otani of Japan, dropped in via helicopter at 14,000 feet to search for him in case he had descended further. The weather quickly soured on the pair, however, they vigilantly searched for Uemura despite this. At 14,000 feet, they found scraps of caribou, an almost empty fuel canister, his diary, and a set of snowshoes. After nearly a week on the mountain, on February 26th, they gave up the search for Uemura. Wickwire said, "In my opinion, it is almost certain that Naomi Uemura is dead." Park officials concluded that he probably slipped and fell somewhere between 16,000 feet and 14,000 feet on his descent, as there is a very steep head wall there, and he could have easily been covered in snow. A few days later, a climbing team from Uemura's alma mater, Meiji University in Tokyo, began their own search for his body, despite warnings from the park rangers about the dangers of this expedition. After a 10-day search, they had found most of his gear, including essential climbing gear, a sleeping bag liner, stove fuel, and foodstuffs in an ice cave at around 17,200 feet. Furthermore, they found no evidence that he had descended to where the pilot had claimed to have seen him at 16,000 feet. They concluded that he must have died somewhere around the cave, around 17,200 feet, as an experienced climber like him would not have left essential items such as those behind. However, the park rangers noted that they did not find the sleeping bag itself, indicating that Uemura may have descended further. The last entry from the diary found at 14,000 feet read, "I wish I could sleep in a warm sleeping bag. No matter what, I'm going to climb Mount McKinley." Written by Uemura almost a week before he had reached the summit. His body has never been found, and probably never will be. The mystery with Uemura is not, is he dead, but how did he die, and where on the mountain did he die, and how did it all go wrong? Anyways, thank you all for watching.